Okay. So, hello guys. I hope you welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the session yesterday. Now I am just going to take you through variadic functions because you see this printf project that you have, the main concept that you need to understand is something called variadic function. Does anybody know what a variadic function is? Do you have any idea of what variadic functions are? Or do you even know what a function is?
Yeah, so let me try. I think a variadic function is a function that can take um maybe like an indefinite number of variables.
Yes. Yes, that's correct. It's a function, it's a type of function that can take as many variables as you need it to take. For example, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay. A and B. Okay, this is how I would define it. Like I could say in sum equal to A plus B, and then I'll return the sum. When I'm calling this type of function, like if I have a main function and I want to print the sum of two numbers, I'll say percentage D and sum of 2 and 3. You can see this is where I called the function, and I could only pass two arguments. The things in the brackets of a function when you call the function is called an argument. Okay, and the things in the brackets when you are defining the function is called the parameter. So here these two are the parameters and these two are the arguments. I'm going to be using those terms a lot, so especially if you understand. These are arguments. When you're calling the function, what you used to call the function are the arguments. And when you're defining the function, what you used to define the function are parameters. So here I am calling the function with two parameters, the integer 2 and integer 3. I can't use more than two things. See, if I try, it's going to cause an error. You can see it is underlined and it will say too many arguments. That's where variadic functions come in because this is not really versatile. This sum function can only add two numbers at once. What if I want to add three, four, five numbers? Then I have to be making their own functions one by one. It doesn't really make sense. And let me show you where how this concept is going to be useful for your printf function. When you are printing a function, when you want to use the printf normally, the built-in printf, you can ask it to print regular characters if you remember from the lesson yesterday, just like this. This is taking just one function. Or you can use the printf like this, percentage d and percentage s, and you're printing a and you're printing b. You see here there's just one parameter when I'm calling the printf function. The same printf function can be used for this one parameter, and the same printf function is using one is accepting one, two, and three parameters. That just shows you like the how useful a variety function is and how can it be applied in this concept. Your project is to write your own printf function. So if the built-in printf function can accept as many parameters as you want it to, then your own printf function that you're making also has to be able to accept as many parameters as possible, which means that you have to make your printf function a variadic function. So how exactly are you supposed to write your variadic function? The first step is to include the header. Okay, this property of a function being variadic, everything you need to make your function variadic is inside a header file called the standard argument file. So you have to include that in the file where you're writing, where you're making your variadic function. It's written like this: stdarg.h. Okay, this header file contains everything you need to make your function a variadic function. That's the first thing you have to do. and then you have to move on to the prototype. I'm going to try to make this sum function a variadic function. Okay, is you guys please try to listen. At the end, I would like someone to um guide me to write a variadic function that can find the average of numbers, and it would be really nice if someone can do it. If you're able to do it, you even get the chance to pick our topic for tomorrow, as long as it relates with printf. Okay. Okay, someone should please answer me.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
All
so
right, all right.
Okay, ma.
the first thing is you have to include the right header file. Once you have done that, you have to move on to writing the prototype of the function. I want to use the same sum function example. Okay, the return type is an integer. No matter what, whether it's periodic or not, you want it to return the sum of those numbers, so it will return an integer number. The name of the function, I am going to name it a va sum function, so it will not be the same thing as here, but I'm going to test the both of them in the main function later. And then now, the parameters that your a variadic function takes, it takes mainly two parameters. Okay, the first parameter is a parameter that you know will always be needed. Like in the printf now, when you're printing something, there's always this strange when you want to use the printf, even if there are no other parameters. Like if you're just printing my name, Aisha, there's always this strange argument when you're calling the printf function. So it's something like that, something similar to that, that you make your first argument in your variadic function. For this variadic function that is supposed to find the sum of numbers, what I can think of that is mostly would be needed to be able to make such a function is a count, like something that contains the number of integers you actually want to find the sum of, because it cannot be infinite, but it can be as many as you want. So you need a count. So it's going to be an integer called count. And then the second parameter kind of is just the ellipsis symbol. Okay, the ellipsis is what denotes that it's a variadic function. So it is saying it's going to accept the count and then any other arguments of as many as you want, as long as it is the total number which you said the count would be. Okay, and then next you start building your variadic function. To make a function variadic, there are some macros that you need to be able to, like, there are some macros, just know them as macros. It's beyond our scope and we don't have much time to explain macros, but there are some macros that you need to make your variadic function. They are the va list, va start, va arg, and va end. Okay, I'm going to use an analogy and illustration to explain how this works. So let's say you are a bricklayer and your job is to maybe build a tower. Okay, and the way you work, maybe for some reason, you collect the bricks from your clients, you put them in a bucket, you take the bucket to wherever they ask you to build that tower, and then you start laying them one by one, like if that's how you do your job to make your tower. The first thing you have to do is to get the bucket and fill it with the necessary number of bricks that your client gives you to build your tower. Okay, so the first thing you are going to work with is the va list. The va list is what you use to initialize the container, kind of the way that bucket serves as a container for the bricks. The va list is what you use to initialize what the container for all these extra arguments. Okay, look, our end goal is to be able to make a function that when you call it with, if I want to use it to add three numbers, I would say the count is three, and then I'll put three other numbers and ask it to add them together. So this VA list is like a container that will contain all these numbers that I want to add together, three of them, 10, 20, and 30. So the VA list now, I'm just going to name it PTR. So it means I initialize PTR as VA list. I am saying PTR is a pointer containing all the arguments, all these extra arguments that I am illustrating as using the ellipsis to illustrate. So, and then the next thing you do as that bricklayer, after filling your buckets with all those bricks, you take your buckets to where you want to, the position where you want to actually build the tower. Okay, before you even start building, you have to move your bucket there. So that means you have to set up everything you need at the position you want it to. What you use for that setting up is this va start. Okay, and the VA start takes two arguments. When you want to use the VA start, you use two things. What you declared as the VA list, which in this case is the PTR, and then the first parameter that I said will definitely, like, the first parameter, which in this case is the count. So it takes two things, the VA start, what you declared as VA list, PTR, and then the first parameter in your variadic function, in this case is count. At this point, you have set up everything you need to do the work. Like, the container already has all the arguments. It has 10, 20, and 30, and you are ready to start picking the numbers one by one. So what you have left to do is the actual implementation, which is where you want to do the addition. At this point, are you getting what I'm saying? Is there anything you need me to explain before I move on? Do you all get it, please?
Sorry, I didn't get that value split the ARO.
The VA list.
Yes, the VA list, the PTR.
Okay.
What is it? You just declared, and I didn't pass anything to it.
Yes, it's just what you use to initialize it. The way you initialize integers, and like the way you say int x, that means x is going to contain an integer, right? That's the same logic. The way you say int x and x is going to contain an integer. When you say VA list PTR, you're saying PTR is a VA list, and I said this VA list is like the container.
Okay. What
Okay,
the PTR? What is it? What
did
is
you get
inside?
it? It contains all the. It is going to contain, when you call the function, it's going to contain everything after the first argument, 10, 20, and 30.
Okay, so
Yes. So can I move on now? Any other person?
Sorry, please, I want to ask, that counts. Is it
Yes.
just a decided variable, or is that what it's supposed to be? For example, like, I mean, can it be changed?
Yes, it is usually the first parameter is usually something that you know you definitely need in your code. Like
Okay.
here now, if I want to add numbers, many numbers, I need to know when to stop adding. That's why I'm using count. Like for the printf now, the prototype for printf is like this. You see what that is like this. Int printf, and then you'll say a character pointer called format, and then the ellipses. And you can see whenever you call the printf function, you say something like printf. It's either you say something like this or printf, then maybe percentage d, and then add one more argument like a. All the time there will be this format, like it's always going to be there when you're calling the printf function. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's what the first argument is.
Okay.
It depends on what you want your function to do. It's not always count. It depends on what you want your function to do. In this case, I want my function to find the sum of numbers. So for me to know when to stop adding, because it's not like I want to keep adding forever. I will need the count. I will need to know how many numbers I'm actually adding. Even if I'm saying my function can accept as many as I want, I need to know how many numbers exactly I'm adding. That's why I'm using count. Here also, this printf, another example of a variadic function, it's always going to have this first string in it before, whether it's going to take any more arguments, but it's always going to have this format string. Do you get it?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
So next thing is to do the implementation. We have a container now, and we have already set it up. It now has everything. It now has all those extra arguments that are in these ellipses when you call it. How can I pick each argument one by one to actually find the sum? Normally when you're finding the sum of something, like when you're finding the sum, or you have a series of number and you have to keep updating the sum. This is how we have been doing, finding sum of something like that. You initialize sum as equal to 0, and then somehow you keep updating the sum, adding the necessary numbers over and over and over again. Can anyone tell me what I need in this implementation? Like what concept I need to keep adding a number to sum over and over and over again until I reach the count, the number, the total number.
You add a
So
plus to the front of the sign.
To increment.
okay, so I'm going to
You
say
add a
sum
plus.
You can
plus
use a
equals to
loop, not iterates.
yes. I need a loop because when you are doing the same thing over and over and over again, then you are definitely using a loop. And also this sum adding plus is also a really nice thing. So the loop, can anybody just guide me? What do I do? You should know loops
Int
by
I.
now. Okay, I need to
Int I.
declare I. Yes, yes,
Alright. I equals to 0.
yes,
Semicolon. I
yes,
less than count.
yes,
Semicolon. I plus plus.
yes.
Yeah. Then you bring in the sum inside the curly bracket.
Okay, that's very good. So what this is, the for loop is saying is from I equal to 0, the number of times you're going to do it. I'm using I as the index to determine how the iterator, how many times this loop is going to iterate. So it's going to start from times 0 up to the count. So if there are three numbers and the count is 3, it's going to do the 0th time, the first time, and the second time. 2 is still less than 3, so it's going to stop there. So it's going to do 3 times. It's going to add three numbers, increment some with three numbers. That's how the for loop is working. And so now I want to, what am I adding to sum to increase it? I need to keep picking each argument one by one. So the macro to do that is this varg. The varg is going to help you to select each argument when you call the function one by one. Here again, look, this function, let's say I'm calling it here. I said the count is 3. The first number I want to add is 10, 20, and 30. So what will be happening in this loop is for I equals to 0, the first time, this varg will pick 10, it will run again, then it will pick 20, and then it will pick 30. And it will only do it 3 times since I made the loop run just 3 times since count is 3. Do we get that? Yes,
Yes.
do
Yeah.
we get that? Okay. So the varg also takes in parameters just like the va
Ma,
start does.
sorry, ma, I didn't get you, ma.
From what point? Did you understand the loop? Eh?
I understand the loop, but after the loop, I didn't understand it again.
Okay, I was saying that what we want to do now is to be increasing the sum by a particular number. And what number am I increasing it with? Like if sum is 0 first, then I want to do 0 plus 10, which will give me 10, then 10 plus 20, which will give me 30, and then 30 plus 30, which will give me 60. That's what I want to do, right? So to be able to access each argument one by one after the first one, that's where this varg, that's what it's used for. It will help you to take each argument one by one after this first count. So it will pick 10 and then pick 20 and then pick 30. That's how the varg works. Do you understand now?
Why did it
Like
pick
that,
three?
let me use that briefly. No, it starts from after the first one, like after this. It starts picking the arguments that are represented with the ellipses. 3 here is not part of the numbers I want to add. I want to use to increment. 3 here is just the count. Is how many numbers there are. There are three numbers. Okay. Okay. Okay.
I
So the varg takes two things. It takes the ptr, which I initialize as va list, so ptr, and then it takes what type of number what type of argument, what's the data type of the argument I want you to pick. So in this case, I am adding integers, so the data type of the argument I want you to pick that is expecting is an int. Okay, so what this would do is from I equal to 0 up to whatever the count is, increase, update the sum with, use varg, go and pick each argument one by one. So here now, first is to pick 10, so sum will be 0 plus 10, 10. Then to pick 20, sum will be 10 plus 20, 30. Then to pick 30, sum will be 30 plus 30, 60. Okay, so and after finding the sum now, After you have built your tower, you have to put your bucket back in where you took it from, clean up the place and everything. So the next thing is this VAEND. When you start, you use the ARG to pick each argument one by one. You have to end, and the only thing the end takes is the PTR that I initialized, and then I return the sum that I found, and that's it. Do we get this? Is there anything I should find quickly? Who's that?
Elijah, please mute your mic.
Okay, so do we get this before I test the function? Do we get this, please? Is there, if you don't get it, just let me know where I should explain again. We're running out of time.
I don't, I, I don't want to draw you people back, but I don't know if you can explain the game, but it's like our time. There's going to be time, so I'll
Okay,
also go and watch a recording after the
okay,
class.
okay. Yes, there'll be a recording. You can watch it after. Okay, so now I'm going to test the function I just made in my main function. Um, I can say the regular sum. I'm going to use I'll name it output. The regular output is going to be, first I'm going to use the normal function that is going to accept only two numbers, 2 and 3. And then I'm going to say my output from my variadic function. I'm going to use the VA sum function that I just made. And what does it accept? First, it accepts the count. How many numbers should I add? Anybody? How many numbers, please? Okay, I'm just
Two,
going to
right?
add six numbers.
Okay.
Two.
Okay, two. Sorry, oh wait, but I don't understand something. I was thinking it's supposed to be two. You said you want to add the count, right?
Yes.
And
How?
in this output, we are looking at the sum of two numbers, 2 and 3. So is it not possible
Yes.
to add more numbers or to
Yes.
increase the counts in this VA sum?
You see, I'm calling two different functions. Look, the first one is just a normal function. It's that
Okay.
you if I define it with two things, then I can only call it with two things. But this one is a variadic function. It means I can put as many things as I want in it. That's why I'm explaining variadic functions. That's the special thing about variadic functions. It allows you to call it with as many arguments as you want. So
Even if
here,
you
just
have
decide.
already even if you have already declared two here, right?
Yeah, I didn't declare two anywhere. Look, this one is just sum. This one is VA sum. There are two different functions. Can you see? This one is sum, and this one is VA sum.
Okay. Okay. Now I get
There
it.
are two separate functions. Yes. So here I'm going to use it to add like six numbers now. So 20, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more, 15. So if I print um, the output from regular sum function as equal to an integer, it is the output, and then print. Okay. Um, the printf is in this standard library. I have to include it. I don't think there's any error here. I'm just going to run it now. So 20 plus 30 is 50, 60, 75, 85. That's right. So I hope you understand this. Any questions? I have just one more minute. So is there any question, please?
I just want to ask another question. Please scroll down.
Okay.
This VA
Well,
sum, the second one that we want to use to test the code we've written, that has six.
yes.
These numbers here, is it that
This
they
one.
are fixed numbers, or we can just pick any number just as we did at first?
Yeah, you can pick any number. Any number you want. Do you want to try?
Okay. Alright. No, no, that's fine. I just wanted to know.
Okay, and you can call your function with any number. I'm making the function, it's not like I want the function to only add some specific numbers. I want you to add any number I give to it of any amount. So I want you to add six numbers. The count is six. I gave it six numbers to add, and it worked because it's a variadic function using these special macros va start, va list to initialize the container, va start which accepts the container and the first argument, va arg to access each argument one by one, and then va end to stop the variadic operation happening. And then I just return some
Okay, because
from the return value.
the reason I'm asking is, ALX has this main.c file that tests
Yes,
our codes.
yes.
I was looking at, if we have to write our own test function like this. So I just wanted to know if we are going to write that ourselves. Do you understand what I'm
No,
trying to say?
no, you don't. Yes, yes, I do. You are not supposed to write it yourself. In fact, you are not even allowed to push any testing code. You can write it to test your code, but you're not supposed to write it yourself. You can write it yourself, like to test, but you can't even push it. ALX is not going to mark it, so it's not part of what you have to do. If you check the tasks you have, the first thing you have there is this gray cell with many things that you can use to test your code. So that you just use it to check if what you are doing is working,
Is right.
but you don't
Okay.
have to push it or write it yourself. I wrote this one also just to be able to test my VA sum function.
Mm, I get it. Thank
Hello,
you.
Aisha.
Yes, I'm
Could you
done. Thank you.
please use a simpler example in a variadic function, like use
The
figures that
simple
we could add with our eyes.
figures.
Yeah, something that might amount to 20, 15.
Okay.
Mm, I suggest we test this one first now, since we've taken
I
all the
have
time to write it.
We've actually
I've
tested it.
tested it. Can you see
That's
the
the result
output
there.
here?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, so let me say int a equals 12.
I don't know if I can say something. Aisha, please, can I say something?
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay, so I think since the first value, okay, being 6, is a bit
Yeah,
confusing. That is what some of us don't understand. So I think if you're able to print for us to understand that the first number is the number of count or the number of values you are telling the program that it will be accepting. If there's a way you can print it that way, then I think it will um, remove some all forms of confusion. I don't know if I'm making sense.
yes, yes.
Okay, so thank you.
Okay, so now I put count at 6. So I am saying the count is 6. Add this. Let me run this now. Can you see? Yeah. Is that what you are trying to say? Yes, sir. Are you guys still there?
Okay,
Yeah, we are here.
come back to your calls. Okay, do this for me. Can we have a number that is not as huge as 85? Can we have you vary it? Can we have the value of counts change at some point? Maybe two examples we do.
Value of count to change. So now there are one, two, three, four numbers. I want to add four numbers together. So can you see it now? I am adding four numbers and the sum is 13. 4, 8, 13.
I have a question, Aisha.
Yes,
Okay, I think is in addition to what Kobe just said. The first what's it called expression.
yes,
The first expression has two arguments in the box, in the colon, in the bracket
yeah,
rather. That means whenever
yeah.
we have two expression in two arguments in the what's it called in the brackets, the variadic function nature of taking
Okay. I
the
think I
first
see what
element
what
as the
you mean.
last.
Sorry. The first one here is not the variadic function. I can just remove it. It is just the normal sum function.
Okay.
It's not the
Okay,
variadic
okay,
one.
okay, okay. Yes, yes,
It is
that's
just
true. That's true.
normal sum one.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
true.
So
Thank you.
I'll just remove it to
Yeah, it was a bit confusing. You remember that was the same question I
okay.
asked her.
It's
Yeah,
not
it's
the
clear that
variadic
way. That it
function.
was actually a normal summation you did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just
Okay.
trying to show that that one will not accept more than two things. So is it better now?
Yes, a whole lot.
If I wanted to change this function to return the average instead from your lesson in return value, can you tell me? I just have to change something here. Do do you know the difference between the sum and the average of numbers? The only difference.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so what do I change here if I wanted this to return the average instead of the sum?
Okay, so we first check for the sum. So if we want to check the average, what we can do is we can take the count as the number that we are going to be dividing the sum with. So I don't know
Yes,
if that works fine with us. So after adding, we just divide it with the number. Thank you.
yes. So I can say the average. I can say the average is equal to the sum divided by the count. Yes, and that's it. And then instead of returning sum here, I could return the average. So that's it. Let me leave the rest of the time for any other questions you might have. I hope you were able to learn something.
Yes, sure, I did. Well done, thank you. So, the
Yes.
question I have is regarding this project. So, I don't really know how I am going to do it because the only requirement for each task is the repo, which is printf. So I don't know. Are we supposed to create files based on our own discretion, or we just do everything in the roots folder, or how? Or are we going to create folders or something? I don't know.
Yes.
Because the only thing there is the
Yes.
repo.
So what they are saying is everything they are going to check is okay. Yes, Topman created a video for that. But let me just give you a brief explanation. Everything they are going to check is inside. They are going to check everything in that your printf repo. So you can make your files according to your discretion, the way you want.
Okay.
Yes, please, Solomon.
Yes, please do.
You use
Thank
your
you.
discretion.
You share the link on the WhatsApp platform.
You can share it
I'm
in this
not on the
chat also.
WhatsApp.
It
I'm
will
not on the
disappear
WhatsApp
as
class.
soon as we leave.
Just share it here and copy it, or go and save it somewhere. I will share it on the Slack channel also if that will help.
I couldn't join the Slack channel yesterday. I tried that link you sent to the group chat. It kept telling me I cannot join a group I'm already part of. Something like that.
I
Like I
have
cannot
asked the
join.
people involved, um, I have asked the person that is supposed to accept your invitation, and she has not replied yet. You can also send a mail to them that you are interested in joining the AFS 0523 channel.
All right. Thank you very much, Aisha. Please, does anyone have any more question on anything, including the things that we did not talk about today? Anyone? You go ahead and ask, please. Now I wished.
When you see your printf function is a variadic function, and what you want to do is to check every character one by one. When you see a percentage sign, you want to replace the percentage sign with one of the other arguments. So you can use what you understand from the variadic function lesson today. It's supposed to help you.
Okay.
Sorry, did you say a percentage function?
Percentage
Are you talking
sign,
about
the format specifier.
the format
Yes, sign,
specifiers?
sorry.
Okay. Because I saw one that has only the percentage sign. Honestly, I'm still thinking about it because I don't even know what that means. I only know format specifiers and I know percentage sign
Try
precedes those letters.
Yeah, try
Okay.
printing percentage
Okay.
and see what it will be. That's what that one is talking about.
Okay. All right.
So so I still don't understand this project or this printf project. Are we creating a function like print underscore put car?
Yes. Yes. The
Uh,
way you made the underscore putcha to work like the normal putcha, you're supposed to make an underscore printf to work like the printf.
okay, so what I create is underscore printf, not printf.
No. Because you know the same way you could not name your own putcha the same name as the inbuilt putcha. You can't name your own printf function as the same name as the inbuilt printf. So yes, underscore printf.
So if we just create underscore printf, we use it to write other programs in the task. Is all
Yeah.
this yeah.
Yeah, you have to
I,
make
I,
your
I
own
don't
the
I
whole
don't know if
the
I
whole
don't know if you get
task
my
to
question.
make your own underscore printf. Like the whole project is to make your own underscore printf function. That's the whole project. You know, printf is a very broad something. Or is that not what
Wow.
you're trying to ask?
Because I'm still confused about the this the project itself.
Okay, so Elijah, I
Because
think when you watch the video, you will get a better understanding because today is for Radic functions and time is fast. So
okay, sir, thank you.
Elijah, you can please watch the video.
So I wanted to say something, Aisha. It seems to me that the last and the final output we would have for this project will just be a single file that is encompassing every single bit of tax. Just like we have the put star, and it's just a single file, whereby a single function rather, whereby you just call that function for us
Yes.
to utilize. right? Because that's the way it's
Yes.
appearing to me.
Yes. Except
Okay.
your function, you might need other functions to work. You might need to make other functions for it to work properly. But yes, the main thing is that printf function, the way the
Yeah.
picture is.
Okay. Okay. That means that my final printf file would need other sub files, which
Yes. Yes.
even one header one. So that means I'm going to still use the that same what's it called prototype for the one for
Yes.
tax, and that same prototype I'm going to use for tax. Tax 0 and tax 1. I've not opened the advanced section, so I don't know. Maybe they are giving separate prototypes for other ones.
No, you
But for
just need
tax
one.
0 and 1, there's just one prototype. Okay.
Yes. The whole project is just build your own, build that
My
printf
own
function.
underscore printf.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is
Yes.
getting interesting.
If you
Thank
need
you.
more functions for it to work well, then you have to make them yourself also. But the whole
Available
project is
from,
just
okay,
make.
just like the way Futka is not made available for this project, we'll be the one to define our own Futka function.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Uh,
Okay, thank you
Sorry,
very much
again, I want
for.
to ask. Sorry, please, one last question, please. The folder and files that you said we'll create based on our own discussions, do we have to? Oh, okay. I wanted to ask if we're supposed to make those files executable, but I remember that once we compile, it will be automatically executable, right? Did that just make sense?
Of
yes,
course, we do.
Yeah,
when you
it will.
compile all your C files, it's going to give you one executable file to run all of them.
All of them, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so on a final note, I encourage you to go and look at that particular resource material on the intranet that tells you about the secrets of printf. You might want to take a look at the Linux manual because you want to understand before you reproduce printf, what is this printf, how exactly does it behave, you know, what will the percent sign do. You understand that some characters are special in printf and some characters are ordinary, but adding a particular character to an ordinary character can make it special. you know so when you learn how printf behaves, you will be able to sit down, calculate. You want to try to create a flow chart, spell out your logic, your algorithm. Know how you want to go about it. This is the part where uh, two of you, no two persons may think exactly the same way, you know to bring out that answer, to come about that solution. So do your best, understand collaboration, understand what it means to work together in the same on the same repository, and understand what how printf can be used, the things that are there that are not normally used all the time. You may need them. You need to know them to be able to attempt the advanced task. So for now, I'm going to say good night. Um, I'll be watching for your comments on Twitter, and from your comments, we are going to pick the topic for the next section. Thank you very much for coming. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
For coming. Bye.